Wow, what a time. Oh, hello. You caught me reminiscing. I've just been looking back at the footage from the screening we had for Lost and Found last September. The short film inspired by the My Hero Academia Fantasy AU I was working on for quite a lot of last year, actually. It was a really amazing event. We managed to turn this, like, square black room with no windows into the closest I could get to a fantasy garden party through the power of lighting, bunting, fake flowers, and other props. And of course the very much fantasy and magical people who showed up to it, because got to invite people who've been involved in the project and other cool people I know to the event to celebrate the end of the project with us for the evening, which was really, really cool. I introduced the project a bit, people who didn't really know what it was, and then screened the film, and then got to do a Q&A with 2 members of the cast, which was really cool. The audience had some really great questions for us, and I loved getting to talk about the process of making the film and be asked questions about it. That was incredibly fun. Just the feeling of sitting there, watching the film, and knowing that I'm surrounded by people who are also watching it and watching what we made was absolutely incredible, and it is truly a night that I will never forget. So you don't fancy watching the footage with me, do you? I will obviously skip out the actual film part of it because recording a film on another camera doesn't really work out as well, so we can just watch that bit on YouTube. But yeah. Okay, awesome, I'll get it ready then.
Hello and welcome to the screening event for Lost and Found. Thank you. It is really incredible and very surreal to see you all here, and I'm very, very excited to share with you what we have been working on. The plan for this evening is I will give a little talk about sort of the process of this project, and just so you know kind of what you're about to watch. And then I will be screening the movie, and then there'll be a Q&A with the cast at the end, so you can ask any questions you might have. Working on this project has been really, really incredible. This is the kind of thing that I'd always dreamed of, maybe at some point it might be really cool to do something like this, but I never really thought it would happen. I've always been someone who has had a range of interests. I've always really, really loved acting or creating these little worlds and, playing with them, designing things. But usually those skills kind of got used in parts of other people's projects or, my own little things, which has always been amazing. But this project has really given me a chance to, in a really supported environment, take all of those skills and put them together to create this one amazing piece, which has been really amazing and really affirming to do. The project that I made this as part of is the No Barriers project, which is run here at the Met. It is a project that aims at getting young people who are neurodivergent or disabled into the music industry. And it's a really, really incredible thing. It uses things like creative mentorship, and you can shadow industry professionals here, and you can work on a creative project. I heard of it last November, I think, and I had a meeting with Katie to talk about it, and then joined the project. It was really a dream when I heard about it, because it's so focused on the actual person in the course. It's not about ticking boxes, there's no exam at the end, you can do what you want and what you need, and you are supported, and I'm sure you are all aware how rare projects like that are. So getting to be on this has meant a lot to me. I have long COVID, which means that I can't do a lot of things. I can't do full-time education or a full-time job, or things that are a lot harder for me with my energy. So being able to be in a place where that is recognised and supported has meant an incredible lot. And also because I work a lot differently, just getting to work how I work has been amazing. When I was thinking about what I wanted to do for my creative project, I had a lot of ideas of things that I'd really like to do, but one thing thing that I really kept coming back to was the idea of making a cosplay short film. It's always something that I kind of thought of, you know, seeing these kind of amazing works on YouTube, people really taking these beloved characters and putting them in a new setting or doing something different with them. But again, it's something I'd kind of wanted to do in a supported environment, because like that would take a lot of work. I wasn't sure if it would fit within the remit of this course, but I decided to mention it to Katie just in case, and it did, which was really, really exciting for me. I really wanted to work on this with other people and it not just being me. And a few months ago, through a series of very, very random coincidences and very cool things, I ended up standing in my living room in full cosplay with 3 people, some of whom I'd only known for like 2 weeks, making content, which was very, very cool. So when I was thinking of who I'd want to do this with, there was really only one group of people. After I kind of got them on board with the project, I was kind of starting to think about what kind of thing we wanted to do. The fandom to choose was quite an easy one because it was the one that we'd, you know, all met cosplaying, and it kind of really had a lot of things you could play with, a lot of colourful characters. My Hero Academia. From there I started to think about kind of what world I wanted it to be. I've always really loved fantasy, so I wanted that to play a part in it. I also have a lot of props that fit that really well. So we decided to use I decided to use that as like a basis for it, and then started to kind of work more on kind of the designs and the characters and what I wanted it to be about. What I've really loved with this is that I have got to do every single kind of bit of it, is that I've got to kind of think about what I wanted the designs to be, although they were inspired by official art, and what I wanted the film to be about, and kind of really think of that on its own. And as I've kind of gone through the process, it's just been really amazing to get to learn all these skills individually. Like, I hadn't really made a film before. This is only the second film I've ever made and the first narrative film I've made. And I was really, really glad to get to work with Beth on learning how to edit, and really learning how to make a film, because I hadn't done that before. It's been a really, really amazing, amazing project, and I have really, really learnt so much through it, and I'm incredibly grateful to all people who have helped in whatever way, whether that be sort of being through messages or just like support online or being there at sessions, or just everyone at the Met and all the cast and all of their family and friends. It has really, really been an incredible process that I will never forget, and I'm incredibly grateful to you all. Yeah, that is all I have on my notes apparently. So thank you for listening to me give a bit of background. I've probably forgotten a bunch of things that would have been useful to know for watching the film, but hey, I've said something. So thank you for listening to that, and I think without further ado, you should watch the film. Also, so to start off with, just to be clear, if you want to, should we go along and say our names and who we play? You might want, yeah. I will start first. Hi, my name is Eloise. You already know that. I played the person with the pink hat, as you are probably already aware, because it's the most easy character to recognize. Let's go first.
I'm Isabel, and I was playing Shoto Todoroki, the one with the half and half red and white hair.
Hi, I'm Zen. I was playing the one with the green hair. His name is Zuku Minoru.
Awesome. Now, I don't know if anyone has any questions for us at all.
Eloise, I don't have a question. I just want to say that was absolutely awesome.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah. Wait. I don't know. Wait, Beth.
Was it easy to decide who was going to play which character, or was it, did there have to be some discussion about it?
I think it was fairly easy.
There was a small discussion, but
Yeah.
it was relatively easy.
Yeah, it was like a video call where it was like, okay, these are the characters in the series. What are your thoughts on who would kind of work well together, or you know?
Yeah, I think we were like open to playing anybody, but kind of had one probably wanted to play.
Yeah.
There was also a bit of back and forth between me and Clyde.
Yeah.
Our other castmate who unfortunately couldn't be here today.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But-
Sorry.
Yeah.
Just to say, there is another castmate. Obviously, I forgot to start with that. There is another castmate who, Clyde, who unfortunately is unable to be here today. They played Bakugo, the guy with the blonde hair in the film, and are absolutely amazing and are with us in spirit. So yes.
I probably have to
Sorry,
text message my phone, but they can sense that we're
Like,
talking.
take a selfie.
Yeah, they're probably like, take a selfie. I'm like,
Yeah.
honestly. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a bit of back and forth between me and Clyde going like, this character, I want to play this character. And I was like, at the end of the day, it was up to you. We left the decision up to you. But there was back and forth. You knew the characters you wanted in your story, and we just all went, we're fine with playing whoever.
Yeah.
We have preferences, but it's up to you.
And I think it ended up working out quite well. Like looking back at the photo, it was like, okay, that feels like that works. But there was certainly, I think, deciding which characters from the series to use. I thought these three would work really well together, but I wasn't sure about it because, fun fact, in the series, they don't get on very well together. Most of the time they're arguing, or fighting each other, or just rubbing each other up the wall. So it was a bit like, you know, if I want to be able to share this, you know, will people be like, why have you done this?
Why is she not bullying?
Yeah, so I did actually, because I was quite nervous about it, I did actually put a message up in a Discord server I was in that was for like meets at conventions for this fandom. Being like, hey, I'm planning on doing this, is this a bad idea? And everyone was like, that's the kind of point of this type of media, is to like do different things with the characters. So I think people would probably really engage with that. So yeah, I think that's how the process kind of went. Yeah.
I have a kind of specific question compared to the previous one, so sorry. But I noticed there was this beautiful scene in the woods, and the light changes to a more dusk sort of light, very, very smoothly, and you're still all sort of sitting in your positions in the campfire. I was wondering whether you stayed there the whole time waiting for the exact light, or did you do something fun, or did you
That's
have
a good question. Fun fact, we actually filmed the campfire scene at the exact same time as like the scene before. So when you see us with the notebook, that was filmed. The campfire scene was filmed like probably like 45 minutes after like the rest of it, because we didn't have the time to like stick around and everything. So that was all done using color grading in Premiere Pro, which was what I was using to edit. So when I had my first editing workshop with Beth, one thing she took me through was how to color grade, which was like amazing. I'm like, wait, you can change the colors of this and it doesn't look terrible.
Wow.
So yeah, that was all done in post-production.
Oh, that's incredible. So also the scenes in the Met, where it's sort of darker and more, makes it look sadder in a way.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. We also shot bits in the Met in a higher frames per second, which means that it looks more kind of realistic in some ways. I'm not sure because we exported it at the same frames per second, so I'm not sure if that comes across much, but it gave it a different feel when we were filming it, which really helped differentiate as well that kind of feel. So I didn't want to get a really big contrast between like the fantasy world being kind of quite idealized and like these kind of like quite bright colours, and then the real world kind of being just more kind of like stark and grey.
Kind of going back to what you were saying before, I was interested in like how did you find the process of working with characters that already existed in other media, and like also like what drew you to use My Hero Academia as a source?
I think like mainly for using My Hero Academia as a source, it was mostly out of ease. Because it was like, okay, it's like we want a fandom that we all know, and we want one that has characters that we have the stuff for mostly, and we want one that I guess also is like fairly accessible, because one of the things about it is that like it's fairly well known, and also like if you don't know it, the characters are very kind of cartoonish and they're very big characters, which means it's quite easy to access. I think that was one of like the main reasons. And I think with working with the characters, I found it kind of easier because it's just like using anything as inspiration. It kind of creates a springboard, so you're not having to do the groundwork of like, okay, right, let's think about like the very kind of basics of it and work up. It meant that I had something to go off, and then I could kind of go back and fill things in as I went, which I think I found a lot easier. And it was kind of like I wasn't kind of weird because trying to differentiate between characters in the anime and like these characters, because obviously they were different. So I think I had PowerPoints being like, this is who the characters are. At one of the meetings we went through that. I don't know what it was like for you guys kind of playing those characters.
I felt like I liked it and I slipped into it easily. It felt like it was very pleasant to play an alternate universe of that character. I really liked that.
I think being given a baseline for a character and then being able to build around and work with that really inspires creativity of both yourself and others, because we all had to work as a team to kind of develop our characters and try and help you fit them into the world that
play those characters was amazing, because I turned up to the first day of set, it's like, we've done all this planning, we've done all this kind of preparing and stuff, but like you don't quite know how it's gonna go, and I just gave kind of quite minimal, what I felt were quite kind of minimal directions, and these guys just instantly embodied the characters and did it, and I was like, that's great, next shot, let's go, okay, this is great, we're actually gonna finish on time, it's next. Yeah, so that was really, really, really amazing to get the privilege of seeing you guys just do that, and embody those characters so well, and it also made it like, it was really fun editing it because of that, because it was like looking back at these bits and just kind of like seeing those characters and you doing all of that was just really amazing.
I think part of that could be attributed to you and your, just like your directional skills. Because as much as you say, oh, I've only done 2 movies in my life, your directions are like pretty good, and we wouldn't have been able to roll with it if you hadn't given us those directions.
World building was incredible. It was so simple to play with the world that you created because you created it so well.
It wasn't so like set in stone, but there were clear rules to your universe that you had set up, that we had to kind of like play within those lines. And I mean, that is just attributing to you as like a creative director and like designer of worlds and stuff.
Thank you so much, that means a lot, because like I was very thoughtful, I think, when I was making it of like, thank you, of kind of where the line was on that, because it is one thing kind of doing it creatively, but then being able to communicate it is like a whole nother ball game. So it was like trying to work on that, also because we were doing it in quite like a comparatively short amount of time. So thank you, I really, really appreciate that. Also, were there any more questions?
So, sorry, it's a bit difficult to get my brain on it. So
It's completely fine, take all the time you need.
You mentioned with the frame rate changing, I definitely noticed that. It really stood out to me, and it was really, really interesting to me, because I usually associated a higher frame rate with a more like bright colour palette and stuff, and like more vivid things, whereas I associated like the more kind of like sort of sadder colour palette, if that makes sense. With the lower frame rate, like in the films and stuff. But so having it the other way around was really cool, because it just sort of fitted instantly. Was there which question in my head with it? Was there, I don't want to ask you like a really emotionally charged question, but it's what I'm curious.
That is completely fine.
Okay.
We will answer how we feel able to answer, but
Okay.
you asked the question, that's
Alright,
fine.
cool. Did the shots in the Met with just Izuku have meaning behind them as well, tying into the thing of like chronic illness and stuff, of like looking like with the way the overlays went, it reminded me a lot of like just thinking like, you know, the energy that you sort of you remember having.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Did it have a meaning there?
They didn't have that meaning, but I really, really like that, and I also, it's really affirming to hear that kind of you're able to see that and read into it in that way, because I think my original thought behind it was was in My Hero Academia. I don't think this is a spoiler. If you don't want big spoilers for My Hero Academia, put your fingers in your ears now. But anyway, kind of at the beginning, kind of you have is kind of more chilled, and then kind of as you go on, you kind of end up in more of like a war situation.
Yeah.
So kind of I started with the idea of kind of looking back at sort of like this, finding this notebook reminding the character of like how things used to be easier and also how difficult things are. But I think it's really nice to hear that that was kind of, and like you could read into that in different ways, because I really wanted that to be part of the movie. So if anyone has any other questions for?
I was wondering what part the costumes played in to get into the character. Did it help, or was it hindrance, or were they itchy scratchy?
I think it helped a lot. It definitely, I could feel like halfway getting through it and just putting on like that one necklace or something, it would just be like, ah yes, I am the character now.
I would say that getting into a costume really helps like affirmate like that yourself as that character, like all the different layers. So it goes from like waistcoats, shirts to something as elaborate as like 3 different necklaces, a cape, earrings. I was just like, where is all of this coming from? when did you get the time to do all of this? I would turn up on set and they'd be like, here's a new necklace. And I'm like, thanks. Thank you very much. But now we have to do another scene with a new necklace and it's not going to be a contingency. But then they were like, oh, it's be fine. And I'm like, okay, cool. And as long as you were happy with it, that's what really mattered. And when it came to embodying the characters, I can't speak for Clyde, but I'm sure Clyde would probably say the same thing. Putting on like the wigs and like the makeup and then the outfit and watching it all like come together to create this kind of like magical girl transformation, like Sailor Moon style. Like I'd snap my fingers and I'd just be like, phew, I'm here. And then I turned up on set for the day and they were like, here's your costume, you'll get ready. And then I was like, okay, now I am Izuku Midoriya. And like again, Clyde can't be with us here today, but we had a few of these kind of conversations about the costume and how it helped us kind of take on our roles, because no one here has probably like ever sat down and had an actual conversation with Clyde, but me and Clyde together, we bounce off of each other, like, because we're best friends in real life, as I can say about like the entire cast. Me and Clyde have a very opposite dynamic to our characters, so having to tap into us like hating each other might have been a bit difficult, but it gave us kind of like an outlet, and that was amazing to experience. Don't know about you, because you played Ochako Araka as well.
Yeah,
So-
I think definitely the same as what you guys have said. I really respond to being in costume and sort of it's kind of getting into character. Like it just feels like your physicality kind of just changes depending on what you're wearing and when you're sort of like in there. Especially especially with the wigs. Obviously I wasn't wearing a wig for the character I was playing, but just kind of like helps you get into that. And I think also with like designing costumes, I really wanted costumes that would be comfortable. Because it's like it's not going to go well if people are getting into their costumes and they're like miserable. So
You would have gotten irritated Todoroki.
Just the entire cast.
don't
was
want
like,
an irritated Todoroki.
I feel like the worst one would be Bakugo, arguably.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a bit explosive.
Yeah, so that was a process of kind of like working on the costumes and like bits and trying to look at how like they looked and how they balanced, also how people like felt in them to kind of make sure that people were comfortable. And it was really lovely just seeing you guys getting into costumes or like bits where it kind of you just like felt like you just came into the characters. Like I remember there was a cast meeting we had and I got the wigs ready because I styled the wigs for the green wig and the blonde wig like halfway through the project. And I kind of put them out and like I came back in to like start talking about the project and you guys were just in the wigs. It differently to me. Yeah, it's like, okay, that's good. So yeah. Okay, any other questions?
For the costumes, did you take inspiration, like were they sort of inspired by the costumes that they wear in the show, or is it more original?
They were very, very heavily inspired. So there's this art of the designer, the creator of the show did of the characters in like this fantasy universe, and which was what heavily inspired these costumes. We did kind of do a few different things with them, especially with Bakugo's costume, so the costume for the blonde character, because his costume in the fantasy version, it is quite different to his costume in the like original show, and it also stands out quite a lot. And I was like, that looks really good, and I like little elements of that, but I feel like it doesn't gel as well with the other costumes. And I also really wanted to sort of add more texture to them, because like they're quite comic book like, because it's a comic originally, and an animated show, and I wanted to sort of add more texture so it kind of that picks up on camera, and it was sort of like thinking back to like Lord of the Rings costumes and the way they heavily kind of use texture and layering. I really wanted to bring kind of aspects of that and that almost like historical feel into it, but definitely using the original kind of art as the basis for all of this. Yeah.
You kept pretty well to this colour scheme.
Thank you. Yeah, I tried very hard.
Lots of oranges,
Yeah.
like browns, like very like neutral to like warmer tones, as opposed to like the colder tones that you'd see within like Todoroki, or like the foresty kind of tones that you'd see within Deku. You'd see them between like all three of them have their different kind of colour schemes. I would say colour stories is the word I was looking for.
Yeah, I think it really helps kind of like give them like an individual kind of like like personality.
They were all tied together with wearing clothes on as well.
Yes.
So there was like
All
a
three of
sense
them
of
had-
unity within them.
Yes, and also like the red as well. Thinking back to because you had like red hair and then there were two red
I had
clothes.
red shoes.
Yeah. So So I do really well. Yes.
This is a slightly awkward question, but
That's fine.
what did you learn from doing this that you didn't expect to learn?
Ooh. That's a good question. I don't know.
Always plan extra time.
Yes.
Even when you planned extra time, plan more extra time.
Which is usually quite different because everything else takes extra time and everyone has busy schedules.
Yeah, that's because, like, I think one of the things that I learned was to always find a way to be flexible and find a solution for everybody. Because as much as we had this as our passion project, a lot of us have like jobs outside of it that we have to go to on like a day-to-day basis. I do, it's why Clyde's not here right now, unfortunately. We all had to kind of like work around our own schedules as well as each other's to kind of build this into our life, and I'm glad that we found as much time as we could, given that this is a result, and we've only been working on this for 9 months.
Yeah.
And you see all these like big blockbuster movies that have like years, and then you come out and pull this out of a hat within 9 months. I don't know what you did.
18 years of planning.
18.
I have a watch now, I can use it.
I don't have a watch.
Yeah.
I have a watch.
Yeah.
I'm the only one without one. Oh well.
I usually don't have a
It's
watch.
time. What time is it? Time for me to get a watch.
But yeah, and also just building off that, there was like an insane amount of messages and communication and planning that went behind the scenes from everyone. Everyone compromised and kept in touch, and like there was so much like thinking that
There was a lot of
thinking,
messages,
and a lot of messages, and a lot of, yeah, like you said, being able to adapt, because there were points where it was like just something just comes out of the blue that you're like, if I could have imagined this, I just could not have imagined this would happen, but now it has, and we are on a time limit, and we have this much amount of time to get the rest of this film. What are we going to do about it? Which I think was a really good learning process to do that, and again do that in a supported environment, because I didn't have people to be like, where I could be like, I don't know what to do, and there was that space and that understanding of how difficult it is to adapt and be like, no, we're going this way now in this order.
And then we just kind of went, okay,
Yeah.
go this way then, let's go.
Yeah.
Following your lead director, like whatever you told us to do, we were just there. And I think a good thing that comes with adaptability, and the fact that we've all learned adaptability. Of course, some of us were already like predisposed to it, or pre-exposed, whatever that was. But like, quite a few of us had to then learn on the spot how to adapt. And that was important to me, because as somebody who maybe hadn't had the chance to learn how to adapt before, doing this project with both of you and also Clyde kind of helped that blossom and helped me kind of nurture my relationship with that adaptation. Because a while ago I had something that basically created a mental block between me and being able to adapt. So being able to kind of like grow out of that and work on this project with you guys has been amazing. And I can only attribute that to you guys. It means a lot to me.
You. I'm really glad to hear that has kind of that environment was created where that could happen, and I think it's really amazing that you were able to do that, and thank you for sharing that as well.
It's okay. And I think it comes again with how you did this, or how you came to do this with like the Met, like the course that you're doing as well. It's all about like being inclusive and like helping people with like disabilities and neurodiversity and stuff like that. And I think that's an incredible like way to be able to kind of come through with this. And it deserves to be talked about more.
Yeah, as well. And I think like that atmosphere did very much come from the Met. It came from the very beginning. Like I'm very aware when I'm going into situations, because of how I work differently, of sort of like, okay, what is the situation? Who are these people that I'm working with, and how do I need to work within this? But like from my very first meeting with Katie, it was like, I can relax, I can be myself. There are clear boundaries. We're going through this in an order that makes sense to me, and I think. And like communicating and being clear was always like a priority, and I think that again really helped me to then bring that to the project. And it is that thing of like, if one person is able to bring that atmosphere, then that helps other people bring it, and then you just get this cycle of really helping with that, which meant that because that was so strong, it meant that when things did come up, there were issues, or if something was like needed dealing with, it was easy to do that because we did have that background of having been through all of that, which I think really helped.
Definitely felt safe because of the boundaries you put in place, and it felt very comfortable able addressing something if something
establish those kind of boundaries, like please don't do this, but you can instead do this. And I think that creates a healthy work environment as opposed to one where we're just all trying to scream over each other and it's just chaos.
Yeah.
But and then with these boundaries in place, we all managed to get through it.
Yeah, exactly.
And we didn't seem too tired by the end of the day.
No.
We all went home and the world didn't end.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. We all got pizza and
We did get
chilled a
pizza.
bit. It was
Like,
very nice.
every time after like a shooting. Yeah, the pizza. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was.
Side tangent. Pizza.
Oh yeah, that was good. It was like, let's order food from an app. No.
We have 3 people here with intolerances.
Oh dear. Yeah. Potatoes usually worked though. We always had like having
Or cheese.
Yeah, like it's like if you want to work with people on a group project, learn the foods that are nice to them, and make sure there is food when everyone arrives and there's space to sit down, and it makes things a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, Mum, for all the times you put potatoes.
Yeah.
And for everything sorted.
And thank you for the cheese.
And the brownies.
Yes. Definitely, yeah. I think I had one more thought on that question, which is I think one thing that I have learned I didn't expect to is how much kind of my skills have value. Because I haven't, because I've never been in a conventional educational place because I've always been home educated, but having long COVID has meant that I'm even less in a conventional educational place where someone is like, you got this qualification, great, now go, you've leveled up, go on to the next step. Which I don't think I would fit very well in that position, but it has meant that it's a bit more difficult to gauge where you are in the sense of kind of, because I'm 18 now, okay, well what's my next step if I was going to get a job? It's like, hey, I have a sociology GCSE, employ me. It's like, so I think working on this has really helped me understand that in like a creative industry, I think a lot of this again has been, you know, like working with Katie and Beth and Steph and everyone, just kind of, I remember like being at a meeting with Katie and she was like, hey, I think your portfolio would be useful, creating a website, because you know you have a lot of like really like amazing skills, and I was like, I do? Is it useful? Because like it's not like I am confident in myself, but having someone sit there and be like, hey, the skills you have are useful in a professional industry setting, it's like, whoa. So I think being able to really just work, because I have just been working on this for the last 9 months, and do that and be like, okay, I can do this, I can work on this, and really grow that confidence in my skills. And also because it was like quite time pressured as well at points, it was sense of just like, okay, the next thing I'm going to do is make a sign. It wasn't like, how am I going to make a sign? It was like, okay, how can I envisage this sign? Let's get this cardboard, let's paint it, let's draw a sign. You know, it was just like, let's just do it, which I think also really helped me and stopped me from overthinking things and being like, can I do this? It's like, don't just do it. You've got like, you should have done it 2 hours ago, so just do it. Yeah.
Make a sign.
Yeah, which really helped. So yeah. Any other questions?
A question for both all or any of you. Watching your creation this evening, was there a particular scene or a transition, or just a moment when you saw it come up on screen? It was like, yeah, we nailed that. We nailed that. That was so difficult that day. But we
I liked. Do you want me to go first? Or everybody thoughts? I liked the scene personally when we were sat just inside the little cafe, and it was, I think it was all of us, and me and Clyde were playing rock paper scissors while you were looking at the sun. I think we were just doing that because we didn't think you guys were watching us, so we just started playing rock paper scissors. Because we were trying to like waste the time away, and then I heard Eloise go, you know the camera was recording. And we were just like, oh.
I'm very embarrassed now.
Yeah, you just kind of went, that's on film now.
Yeah.
And then we went through like a little bit of back and forth of whether it should or shouldn't have been in the film, and then at the end of the day, we are glad you put it in the film. Like me and Clyde talking about it, like just one of us just offset where it was just like rock, paper, scissors. It was just put into this amazing piece of work. And then obviously you came in at the end and you were amazing as well, and the transition towards you looking at the board was incredible. And like I love it was very, yeah. And I feel like it fit the characters as well. I feel like, yeah, Todoroki would be looking at a sign while Bakugo are just there like, fight me.
Yeah.
And then obviously we have you, who has amazingly put this all together to create this kind of narrative that fits within the boundaries of the characters' personalities as well. And I really love that scene, because it puts all 3 of us in this amazing scene together, and I think that's the togetherness, the what's the word I'm looking for?
Cohesion?
Cohesion. That's it. Unity.
Unity, there you go.
The unity of like all three of these amazing characters coming into the same space and fitting with their personalities as well is incredible. I don't know about you guys. What are your experiences? I
really liked the one in the forest where I think it's Clyde was trying to thrust a map at me, and I was like, what am I doing with this map? What is I really seeing that come up was very funny, and I think it fit in with the characters in a very funny way. I really liked that one.
And the bread. Honorable mention bread scene. I was like, take the bread.
That's amazing.
He rejected the bread, and I was just like,
yeah.
Get eat.
And you ate that whole bread.
I did eat the
like,
entire.
Can I eat this? Like, yeah, sure, go for it.
I think we had two, and I ate the first one because you were filming something else, and I just went, ow. And then you came back and were like, are you eating the bread that's for the next scene? I just went, no. And it's fine, because we had two loaves, and you were just like, there should be another one, and I was like, ah, yes, like,
have more bread.
Have more bread. And by the time I was like, I feel sick, this is too much bread.
I think probably for me, there were like a lot of points, but the one that came into my head was just the shot of everyone running down the hill. Because that was
so not
yeah, I do feel really bad because that was the first shot we did in the woods. We'd walked like 2 minutes from the lodge, and there was like, oh, there's a hill here. Hey, can you guys run down the hill? And it was probably the shot we actually shot the most because I think we did it like 5 times. It was the first shot, and I'm like, oh my god,
heeled boots running down a hill.
That was the only shot that I can think of that we had like the smallest amount of actual bickering over.
Yeah, we all just kind of shut up and let you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, just get it done. But like that shot, I think it was just like the aesthetics of it, and it's the one I used for like I think the invitation for this event.
It was,
because it was like, that's a good shot. To get everyone running, and I think I used it for a TikTok. And it was like a really silly TikTok, but it was one of the ones that blew up, and was like, okay, that's got 2,000 views. Do I know why? No.
That's great. Honorable mention for like best scene is probably when you were there with like Ochako, and then Clyde just bursts.
Oh yeah.
They just kind of
yeah, just like burst in and it's like
the crowd erupted in laughter.
Yeah.
And I think that was fun.
Yeah, I think that.
Because Clyde just went no. I was like,
but every time I rewatched that, looking at all of your. That was planned.
I'm pretty sure it was, because I was trying to think if that wasn't scripted, that would have been the best like little ad lib that they could have ever
that
put
was
in.
planned, but like every time I look back at that, looking at all of your expressions was so perfect and so great. Like you can rewatch that, and every single second of everyone's reaction is so in character and perfect and conveys their story of just like the surprise or just kind of being like, yeah, we're going here, and I was like, okay, cool, bye random strangers I just met.
You gave me a flower and everything was okay.
Yeah,
and I skipped away. That's the man that I am. I skipped away.
Yeah. Skipping can be very manly.
Alright,
awesome. So I think if we have maybe 1 or 2 more questions, or if anyone has any last questions. Yeah.
What's next?
Ooh,
oh,
what is next?
A break. Yeah, I mean, the obvious next thing is that the film will be posted on YouTube on Saturday. On my YouTube, which is Topaz Horizons, which is where you can find me everywhere. And I will also go through socials in a minute, so don't let me forget that, because everyone needs to know where you can find everyone.
You're telling me not to let you forget something. I have the worst memory.
I will remember. But yeah, so I think that's what's kind of like next for me. And yeah, just take a bit of a break. Probably work on some more chill things. I want to do more on YouTube and working on Arts of Warwood and maybe get a website up and running. But I think just probably chill a bit. I don't know about you guys.
I'd definitely chill a bit.
I have a lot coming up, not in terms of like creative projects, but I'm doing a lot of like conventions and like traveling to go and see like my partner and do all the like the subtle like the things behind the scenes that don't need to be broadcast to the entire world. But again, I don't know about the rest of you, but I would love to work with you guys on something similar again.
Yes. So
100%.
Bigger cast next time.
yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. And I think now that kind of it's like, we can do this. And also, one of the nice things about film is that at the end you're like, I have this example of a thing we did, and I can show it, and you can understand it, hopefully. makes some kind of sense. So yeah, definitely you will find me in your DMs about say to me, hey, I have an idea.
Hey, I have this idea. I'm free all of these dates.
Yes. Then we have to get it, and then everyone remembers how difficult it was planning it and getting the logistics sorted.
I remember vividly that one of the times we were trying to plan, we were just like, that doesn't work for me, and then I was like, I can do these days, and you were like, that doesn't work for me, and we were just like, we'll reschedule for next month, it's fine.
Yeah.
What was happening once like that?
Yeah, there were times where it was like nothing lined up.
Yeah.
And we had to
you
keep
do
pushing.
one half of the day, but the other person couldn't do that half.
Yeah, so we had to get everything with that one person in like the morning,
Yeah.
and then the rest of us would go and film the rest of it.
Yeah, in fact, like both full cast filming sessions were done like after like 2 o'clock because Clyde had college in the morning. So it was like, Clyde do college, come here, get into costume, everyone go, and it was like difficult trying to get those timings in. And
I remember vividly you'd set times. Sorry,
no, you're good.
Sorry, I remember vividly you'd set like starting times to like when we needed to be there. I'd turn up like on time and no one else would be there. I was just there like, am I late? Am I early? I don't know. I remember I asked you, I turned up and it was like directly on the time of when we were all supposed to be there, and I was like, where is everyone else?
Yeah, it's like, no,
people are running late, there's train strikes, there's all this, and I was like, fair enough.
Yeah.
There was one time where I turned up first instead of you, but that was very much once.
Because I think I might have been doing something with my mother that day, and I was like, I can't postpone it, I will be there later.
Yeah.
And again, that's another thing that's I think really important and has been really important during the screening is support from family and friends, and like supporting people in like helping us get her on time and get to screenings, not screenings, shoots on time, stuff like that. And especially to like Eloise's parents, they've hosted all three, me, Isabel, and Clyde in their house many times. This entire like filming, like, and I think that is really admirable for you guys to do, to open the doors of your home to 3 crazy kids who just want to dress up and film Silly Little Movie. And I think that that's amazing. I say Silly Little Movie with a pinch of salt.
Yeah,
as I've said many times.
As well with a pinch of salt.
I mean, crazy kids. Debatable. Also, none of us are kids.
No, I know. We're all adults.
Time is passing.
Yeah.
When I met you, we were like 17.
Yeah. I think
now here we are.
Yeah.
Get ready for adulthood.
I know. Yeah. I think that's a good question to end on. So if you guys just want to kind of go along the line and say, oh yeah, we will be around afterwards. Like there is time afterwards. People want to hang about, grab more food, ask us other questions, whatever. There is time to do that. So if you want to go along the line anyway and say where people can find you, there is also a piece of paper somewhere where we can probably write it down. But just to do that.
The only paper I see is
yes, that's true. Write it on here. Write it on my notes. Yeah, I don't know who wants to start.
Go first. Who, me?
Yeah.
What are we doing? Like,
what are your socials?
Oh, my social media. Instagram is Devil Darling Cos. My TikTok is, I believe, Cursed Cosplays. I don't know why they're different. And my Discord, I know no one's looking for me there, but if anyone wants my Discord, Forbidden Love.
That's awesome. I am Topaz Horizons anywhere that I am.
We want mine's all different.
Yeah, which is YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and Discord again, but probably no one's been looking for me
That's
there.
what I just said.
Yeah, so that's where I am if you want to find me there.
I'm around.
Yeah, I exist. You got it up on your phone.
Yeah, I cannot remember. They're both different.
Yeah.
You can find me on Instagram with acrobatic cosplay, and then TikTok at Rainbow Acro Cosplay.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, thank you.
Oh, Clyde's.
Oh, Clyde!
Yes.
Yes, sorry.
Glitch Wolvie.
Clyde,
And
Clyde,
played in many
yeah,
places.
so Clyde is
Glitch Wolvie on a lot of
Glitch
things.
Wolvie, yeah. Glitch Wolvie and Glitch.
I think it's just Glitch Wolvie.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
I can't think of it being anything else on
Yeah.
Instagram.
So that's it. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you all for coming, and thank you to everyone for helping. Thank you to Chris and Katie and Craig for helping set this up.